Buckle up, everyone, because we are diving headfirst into the absolute mayhem that was transfer deadline day.
Oh, it was a wild one.
Wasn't it? It always is. But this year, wow. The Premier League really went all out with the drama, last-minute deals flying around, even a possible record-breaking MLS transfer in the mix.
A lot of big moves, for sure.
And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this deep dive, cut through the noise and get right to those transfers that'll really shake things up in the Premier League.
Sounds good.
So we're talking Tottenham's last-minute grab of Mathys Tel.
Yeah.
Aston Villa seemingly opening up their wallets for everyone.
Right.
Manchester City shoring things up with strategic signings after those injuries. And then, well, some interesting choices from Chelsea.
Definitely some head-scratchers there.
Let's start with Tottenham. They managed to snag Mathys Tel, that young 19-year-old forward, on loan, but with an option to buy. But it wasn't exactly a done deal from the start, was it?
No, not at all. Initially, Tella actually rejected the move. It seemed like Tottenham was completely out of the picture.
Yeah, I remember that. Everyone's talking about it. What happened?
It seems like, Tottenham just didn't give up. They kept pushing, and I guess the allure of playing in the Premier League was pretty strong.
Yeah, it's a big stage for sure.
It's a real win for them, especially considering, they need some more attacking options.
He's being called one of the hottest young talents in Europe. What makes him so special?
Pace. Definitely pace. He's absolutely electric, especially when he cuts inside from the left wing. But it's not just raw speed. He's got that instinct, the kind that strikers need, always finding those pockets of space in the penalty box.
I can already see him tearing it up with their midfielders.
Oh, absolutely. He brings something completely new to their attack.
So, Tottenham fans, there's reason to be excited. Now on to Aston Villa. It feels like they've been on a spending spree this whole transfer window. They got Axel Disasi on loan from Chelsea. And it sounds like there's a bit of rivalry brewing there.
Yeah, a little bit of a back and forth. Disasi actually turned down Tottenham to join Villa.
Interesting. What do you think was behind that? Just money or something more?
It's probably a bit of both. Aston Villa seems to have a plan, a real project they're building. And Disasi probably sees himself playing a big role in that.
They're definitely ambitious.
And let's not forget, they already got Marcus Rashford earlier in January.
Yeah, that was a big one. They've got some serious attacking power now with Rashford and Asensio up front.
No doubt.
I think they could be a contender for a European spot.
It's possible. They've got the players, but it's all about, making those pieces fit, building that chemistry.
Okay, now let's move on to Manchester City. Their deadline day moves seemed more about, filling the gaps, right? Making sure they've got enough depth, especially after those injuries.
Yeah, damage control, I think you could say.
They needed to address those weak points if they want to stay in the title race. They brought in Omar Marmoush, Abdulkadir Kuzanov, Vitor Reis, and, the one everyone's talking about, Nico Gonzalez.
Yeah, for a cool $49.9 million.
That's a serious price tag. Why Gonzalez?
Well, he's the solution to their midfield problems, especially with Rodri out. He's got the experience, he's played at the highest level, and he's known for controlling the game, really intelligent passing.
Sounds like he fits right into that Pep Guardiola system.
Exactly. He's got the skills, the tactical awareness, and, Pep, he demands a winning mentality. Gonzalez has that.
Now, Chelsea took a bit of a different approach, right? They were busy loaning players out, like João Felix to AC Milan, Ben Chilwell to Crystal Palace, and then right at the last minute, they bring in Mathys Tel from Saint Etienne.
It was a quiet deadline day for them.
Yeah, especially compared to what we saw from them earlier in the window.
Looks like they're trying to balance the books, and maybe give some of their younger players a chance.
So is he a long-term prospect? Or is this more of a, filling a gap kind of move?
He's one for the future, definitely. Very versatile midfielder, lots of potential. But he needs time, needs to develop. And this gives him the opportunity to do that, playing at a top-level club.
Okay, before we move on to some of the other transfers, let's talk about this potential record-breaking MLS deal. Lotte Lath from Middlesbrough. Could be huge for the league.
That would be massive. Lath is a proven goal scorer, and it shows that MLS is serious about attracting top talent, becoming a bigger player on the world stage.
You would definitely send a message.
It would.
All right, let's quickly touch on a couple more interesting moves. Manchester United finally addressed their left-back issue. They brought in Patrick Dorgu.
Young player, lots of promise, provides some much-needed cover in that position.
Then there was Everton, scrambling at the last minute to sign Charlie Alcaraz. They even had to use a deal sheet to get it done.
Talk about a deadline day nail-biter. That's what makes it so exciting, though, right?
It definitely keeps things interesting. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but now it's time to really dig in. First up, Mathys Tel, and what his move to Tottenham really means.
So Mathys Tel, like we were saying, lots of potential. But what's really interesting is how this could change Tottenham's tactics. They've been a bit predictable, lots of possession, slow build-up.
So you're thinking Tello brings a bit of that chaos factor, that unpredictability.
Yeah, exactly. He's got that speed that can really stretch defenses. Teams
Right.
can't just sit back anymore. They got to worry about those runs he makes behind the defense, and that opens up space for everyone else.
I can see it now. Counterattack. He bursts forward, draws in defenders, and then, boom, slips a pass through for a goal.
He's that kind of threat. Makes their attack much more dangerous.
But he's young, right? There's
Yeah.
going to be some growing pains.
Oh, for sure. The Premier League is tough, physically, tactically. He's got to adapt. Sometimes he relies a bit too much on his pace, tries to take on too many defenders at once. He'll learn, though. He's in the right place to develop.
All right, speaking of tactics, let's talk about Aston Villa. It's like they've got a whole new squad now. How do they even fit all those pieces together?
It's going to be a challenge for the manager, that's for sure. You've got Disasi. He's comfortable playing out from the back. Then you've got Asensio, real creative playmaker, can unlock defenses with his passing. And then, of course, Rashford, all about that directness, getting those goals.
It's a mix, that's for sure. Experience, youth, some flair, some pragmatism. Can it work?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? The potential is there, but like I was saying before, it takes time for a team to gel, to find that rhythm, understand each other's movements, especially when you bring in so many new players.
All right, let's shift gears to Manchester City and that big signing, Nico Gonzalez. A lot of pressure on him to perform.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Big shoes to fill, replacing Rodri, especially since he's been so important for them.
So is he a direct replacement, or does he bring something different?
He's a different type of player. Rodri is all about, that defensive solidity, keeping possession. Gonzalez is more dynamic, likes to drive forward, create chances. He can really pick out a pass.
So a bit more attacking from the midfield.
Exactly. He could add another dimension to their attack. Imagine him linking up with De Bruyne, Foden. They could be unstoppable.
All right, now Chelsea. Well, their deadline day was a bit more, shall we say, low-key compared to the others. More about trimming the squad, making a few adjustments here and there.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking a more, I guess you could say, pragmatic approach.
But they did bring in Amugu right at the last minute. What's your take on that?
He's one for the future, definitely. He's got energy, he's tenacious, good range of passing. This move gives him the chance to learn from the best, really develop his game.
So while it might not have been the most, headline-grabbing deadline day for Chelsea, it seems like they're still making moves with the future in mind.
Thinking long term, yeah.
Okay, let's step back for a second and look at the bigger picture. What do all these deadline day deals tell us about the Premier League right now?
Well, one thing's for sure. The money being spent is crazy. It's attracting the best players in the world, making the league even more competitive.
The rest of Europe is struggling to keep up.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap, and these transfers, well, they're proof of that.
It also seems like there's a focus on young talent, right? It's not just about quick fixes. It's about investing in the future.
It's smart. These young players, they have the potential to become superstars, and their value, it just goes up.
And you can't forget about injuries, right? Teams are realizing they need a deep squad, especially with how packed the schedule is these days.
Oh, absolutely. Got to be able to rotate, keep that performance level high. Injuries can ruin a season, so having those reliable backups, it's essential.
All right, we've talked about players, we've talked about league trends, but there's one more layer we got to peel back, the tactical side of things. How are these new guys going to change the way their teams play? What are the tactical battles we should be watching out for? Let's just jump right in. So, tactics. Mathys Tel at Tottenham. They haven't always had the easiest time breaking down those, really defensive teams.
Well, Telco could be the answer to that. That directness, that pace, it forces defenses to think differently. They have to back off, and that opens up space for him, for everyone else. We might see Tottenham play a bit more on the counterattack now, really utilize his speed.
So a faster, more unpredictable Tottenham. Okay, like where this is going. Now, Aston Villa, it's like they brought in a whole new team. How do you even begin to figure out a tactical approach with so many new faces?
It's a good question, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be about finding balance. They've got players who, love to have the ball, like Asensio, and then you have guys like Rashford who thrive in that that quick counterattacking style. So the key is figuring out how to get the best out of everyone.
It's a puzzle, but it's a fun puzzle to solve when you've got so much talent to work with.
All right, Manchester City always seem to be, a step ahead when it comes to tactics. How does Nico Gonzalez change things for them?
He adds a different dimension to their midfield. I mean, yeah, he can play that deep-lying role, but he can also push forward, create chances. We might see him in more of a box-to-box role, linking up with, De Bruyne, Silva.
So even more firepower for an already dangerous attack.
Exactly.
Now, Chelsea, they were a bit more, shall we say, subtle in their approach.
Yeah, very much, function over flair.
Amugu, he gives them, some depth, some versatility in midfield?
Exactly. He can contribute in different ways, which means they can adapt to different situations. Okay, so we've talked about individual players, tactics, but, let's step back for a moment. These transfers, they tell a story about each club's ambition.
Right. Every signing is a piece of the puzzle. It gives you a glimpse into what the manager's thinking, how they see the team playing, what they want to achieve.
Exactly. Tottenham, bringing in Tolly, they want to be more dynamic, more unpredictable in attack. Aston Villa, they're clearly aiming for Europe. Manchester City, well, they're showing they're not going to let go of that title easily. And Chelsea, they're focused on the long game, building a strong, stable squad.
It's like a chess match, right? Each club making their moves, trying to outsmart the others.
And we, the fans, we get to watch it all unfold. It's what makes the Premier League so exciting. It's not just about the goals, the skills. It's about the strategy, the constant search for that little edge, that winning formula. So as we head into the rest of the season, keep an eye on these new players, the tactical changes, the stories that'll unfold. This is just the beginning. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and, keep the conversation going.